Good followers have several qualities. Followers must take direction, but they have an underlying obligation to the enterprise to do so only when the direction is ethical and proper. The key is having the judgment to know the difference between a directive that your leader gives on how to proceed and do not agree with a directive that is truly wrong. No one disputes that good judgment is critical to being a good leader. It is just as important as in the case of a follower. Show enough good judgment as a follower, and you usually end up getting a shot at being the leader. Something of an aside, but there is a line that I have always liked about judgment. Good judgment comes from experience. Experience comes from bad judgment. Once again, I repeat, this is a very, very good thing to be remembered. Good judgment comes from experience. Experience comes from bad judgment. Good followers are good workers. They have a work ethic. They are diligent, motivated, committed, pay attention to detail, and make the effort. Leaders have responsibility to create an environment that permits these qualities, but regardless, it is the responsibility of a follower to be a good worker. Competence. The follower cannot follow properly unless he is competent at the task that is directed by the leader. It is the obligation of the leader that assure that followers are competent. Sometimes things go wrong because the follower is not competent at the task at hand. When this happens, leaders should blame themselves, not the follower. A sign of poor leadership is blaming followers for not having skills they do not have. Honesty. The follower owes the leader an honest and forthright assessment of what the leader is trying to achieve and how. This is especially the case when the follower feels the leader's agenda is seriously flawed. Respect and politeness are important, but that does not mean that everything is acceptable for followers to sit on their hands while an inept leader drives the proverbial bus over the cliff. Good leaders are grateful for the followers. Sir, constructive feedback from the team will help the leader to evaluate properly his followers, his team. Bad leaders do not welcome feedback, and our followers have to tread carefully. In this situation, the situation is serious enough, consideration should be given to going above the leader in question for guidance. There must be courage. Followers need to be honest with those who lead them. They also need the courage to be honest. It takes real courage to confront a leader about concerns with the leader's agenda, or worse, the leader himself or herself. It is not for naught that Churchill called courage the foremost of the virtues, for upon it all others depend. From the time to time, it takes real courage to be a good follower. It requires a lot of courage for a good follower to find fault with leader's vision or to differ with the leader's vision. He should have enough of courage to communicate where the flaw exactly exists. Discretion. A favorite saying in the World War II was, "Loose lips sink ships." Sports teams were fond of the expression, "What you hear here, let it say, let it stay here." Followers owe their enterprise and their leaders discretion. Talking about work matters inappropriately is at best unhelpful and more likely harmful. Discretion just means keeping your mouth shut. It should be easy, but many find it next to impossible. Bluntly, you cannot be a good follower and be indiscreet. Everybody who works at an enterprise has a duty of care. Indiscretion is not a care, it is careless. Loyalty. Good followers respect their obligation to be loyal to their enterprise. Loyalty to the enterprise and its goals is particularly important when there are problems, interpersonal or otherwise, with a particular leader. Followers who are not loyal are inevitably a source of difficulty. Next important is ego management. Good followers have their egos under control. They are team players in the fullest sense of the concept. They have good interpersonal skills. Success for good followers relates to the performance and goal achievement, not personal recognition and self promotion. Sounds too good to be true, and often it is. It is difficult, but the best organizations tie advancement and reward to performance and goal achievement, as hard as that may be to do. Followership will always be in the shadow of leadership, but there are no leaders without followers. The followership skills. Today, many organizations are pushing back on leadership centric structures and instead relying on team centered approaches, which depend upon active followership to achieve the organizational goals. However, little emphasis has been placed on how to develop a strong followership skills. They take responsibility and initiative. Active followership, on the other hand, engages in a variety of behaviors that impact both leadership and an organization mission and goals. Active followers take initiative and assume responsibility to understand and participate in the direction and goals of their organizations. Put another way, they raise their hands to take on challenges. Not only to do they assume responsibility for their organizations, but they also take responsibility for their own actions. This level of independence, self awareness, and self regulation required for a sense of emotional intelligence which can be developed through self reflection. Armed with passion, active followers confidently identify inefficiencies within companies and generate solution oriented ideas to improve operations. When assuming responsibility for quality improvement, followers they are working together with leadership, better solutions or results can be achieved. To develop a behavior in your current role, think about the ways you can get involved in the leadership process. Be present at the decision making table and engage in problem solving and actively offer solutions you believe will enhance your team or organization. Research shows that these actions and behaviors have a positive impact on one's job performance, and he can carve out step by step his career, and one day he will assume the leadership role and communicate to the management that he can effectively lead the organizational tasks. The champion the mission. A good follower must champion the mission of the organization. Active followers see their actions as an extension of their leaders and take responsibility for helping their leaders succeed in their missions, agendas, and goals. This active participation in the mission requires followers to think about how their action align or impact organizations' missions. Develop this behavior. Active followers know their leaders' agendas and are committed to help drive them forward. If you do not know your leader's agenda, just ask. The simple act of engagement demonstrates your desire to participate in tasks and have measurable impact on organizational goals. By aligning yourself with the leadership and your organization's agenda, you devote greater energy and investment in the process. They know, the active followers know when to challenge or support leadership. As a follower, you can demonstrate support for the leadership by showing similar levels of dedication to the purpose and mission on the hand. The ability to support a leader is unique task that requires cooperation and collaboration. While support it is an important role of an active follower, so is challenging the leadership when you notice inconsistency in leaders' words and actions. While leaders should hold themselves accountable, you have the opportunity as a courageous follower to help leaders walk the talk, walk the walk, and confront them when their actions do not line up with their words. You must develop a behavior. a further behavior. Being a leader does not mean you feel confident about decisions 100% of the time. That is where you, as an active follower, come in. You feel your leader made a hard, good decision, then don't be afraid to give sincere positive feedback. Perhaps your affirmation is that seals the deal for an initiative or decision to move forward. And also, do not be afraid to show similar levels of dedication as leadership or to communicate where the real flaws are there in the decisions taken by the leadership with whom you are associated as an active and sincere follower. Knowing when to challenge a leader can be more difficult, especially if you have ever done it before. Speaking up for your convictions, especially if the topic relates to ethics or morals, is important. You might not be the only person who sees red flags in the situation. You might be the only one courageous enough to voice your concern. It is these qualities which will make an active follower a great follower, and it will map him and it will carve out his career in the organization. With these followers' qualities, he will become a future leader, a leader in a training. Thank you very much.